Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ultra High Net Worth Clients Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Broadhead. Today, we have the pleasure of talking with Elliot Kallen. Hey, Elliot, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me. I'm Elliot Kallen. I'm the CEO of Prosperity Financial Group, Prosperity Wealth Management, both in San Ramon, California, Northern California. And I am also president of a charity called The Brighter Day.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And I definitely want to hear more about Brighter Day, but let's get into the main story. So how did you first get into the world of finance, Elliot?
It's a great question. I've been doing this now for 30 years. This is my 30th year. I started this. I'm an old Price Waterhouse accountant, really boring type of world, but didn't fit me at all. And I started a few companies and sold them along the way. And I knew back in 1992, 1993, I wanted to get into financial services in New Jersey. And I interviewed with a number of companies. We'll leave the names out. And I liked some of them. I didn't like others. I didn't find myself the kind of person that wanted to work in some type of pit, making 120 phone calls out of the white pages. And then my wife became pregnant with our twins, and we moved out to California, where she's from. And there was a little ad from Lincoln Life there, and I went in there and here in San Ramon, and what was going to be a 1 hour interview turned out to be 8 hours, give or take.
Whoa.
And they made me an offer to come join them and start a business division. And that was right up my alley, and I liked that. And that's what I did. And, in the first year or two, and I don't really wish this business on anybody from a startup standpoint, it's too painful. But I have to tell you, for the first year or two, I could have gone to McDonald's and gotten a raise. But I stuck with it, the fortitude and the resilience. And now, 30 years later, in between both companies, we're pushing $1 billion.
Wow. That's incredible. What? So you started in a more traditional role and then went to a more independent state. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, I started with Lincoln Life, Lincoln Financial,
Mm-hmm.
in California, as an advisor for them, a broker for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're your typical insurance company, insurance broker dealer. They used Fidelity as a clearinghouse. And then we stayed there, and in 99, it just looked like all the writing had changed. The company's complexion had changed. The personality had changed. And we still had a great relationship, but it was time to move on. And Schwab walked in our door, and Raymond James walked in our door, and we made a decision to go with Raymond James at that time and become an independent company on the independent IAR side of their RIA. And we did that for a while. And then they lost a couple of major lawsuits on the East Coast. Basically, they were helping. They didn't even realize that they were helping to fund pyramid schemes, and that really backfired on them. They didn't mean to do that, but they did it. And so we saw the writing on the wall there, and then we were going to go with Schwab on the independent RIA side, and we went with TD Ameritrade.
Mm-hmm.
And as of 2 weeks ago, TD Ameritrade just merged into Schwab. So now we're not Schwab.
That's when did that pyramid thing happen with Raymond James? I wasn't aware of that.
I'm gonna guess about 2010, give or take.
Okay.
What happened was they had two advisors, very large advisors, whose spouses were in the real estate business and were using the same clients and funding real estate schemes. They were guaranteeing 9 and 11%, things like that. They had to make some large settlements and reimburse the real estate fees. They were very, very large. They got into trouble with FINRA, but they readjusted. And instead of sales management and sales reporting to the CEO, it now reported to compliance. So compliance became our boss. So it was no longer that we have to work with compliance. We now have to report to compliance first and foremost. And emails were just getting going, and they didn't understand that. They felt that anybody who emailed more than 20 or 30 times a year was doing excessive emailing. And just our newsletter alone that came out weekly that I wrote every Sunday night was too much for them, and we went on high alert. It was a really unpleasant situation. I have great respect for the Raymond James. We had a good experience. They just had some things that happened, and they had to react to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think any listener of this show will quickly realize that we basically only have independent RIAs on as guests. Not out of choice or any sort of reason. It's the ones that work for the big wirehouses are not allowed to talk to us, not allowed to go on podcasts.
Now they still live that FINRA world. I'm not going to knock FINRA because I have to live in that world too, but that FINRA world is much more prohibitive. The CEO of Raymond James at a Raymond James conference stood up one day and said, "We want you to know that you are going to be sued at some point in your career. So it's not if you get sued, it's now when you get sued, and we want you to make sure that we want to be here for you, so we don't have to make claims and pay them out." And I'm paraphrasing, but that's their assumption was everybody gets sued and everybody does things wrong. And it's a very flawed industry. And, it's not a perfect industry. There are plenty of lawyers that make their living by suing people in our industry, but you can't go in assuming that everything's going to go wrong before it goes right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's that doesn't build a lot of confidence saying something like that. That's awesome. My father worked for Raymond James. He retired in 2005 or 2006, I think. So it sounds like he got out before that happened.
I don't know the exact date that we left, but
yeah,
we would not have left. Actually, I would not have left Lincoln, I think, if they made us a better offer, but they didn't. And Raymond James, we felt like if we don't leave, then this is going to be a boat that crashes in the water or sinks. And we decided we would leave before things could have turned sour, because they were really trying to make anybody that wasn't conventional. They were trying to get rid of everybody that wasn't conventional and conforming. And if you know anything about my personality, conventional and conforming are not two words that describe me all that well.
You probably didn't last long in the traditional wireframe mode.
I think our world in traditional it's not for me. I mean, I'm not the kind of guy. Let me say this. If I were to buy, I'm not the person that should buy a McDonald's franchise, even though that's incredibly profitable, because I can make a better hamburger. And so knowing that the wirehouse wants you to conform to how they do business versus use your creativity and entrepreneurship to the best of your ability. Mm-hmm. And that's who I am. I am an entrepreneur at heart. I'm creative at heart. I love to try new marketing ideas. Sometimes they fail, but I don't like to do whatever done. I want to blaze my own trail.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Can you talk about, first setting out on your own and starting this business and how you guys, got your foothold?
Yeah, I want to tell everybody that's thinking about starting out on their own. I want you to know there are about 90 days of pain. So you should be aware of the pain, which means you probably don't get paid. Some clients may leave you. Not everybody's 100% thrilled with your efforts or your personality. We actually tried to get rid of some clients and we couldn't do it. I tell you, the key word and a buzzword in my industry that I try to teach young people, Chris, is the word trust. Your clients need to trust you. And trust is not just a two-way street. It is you. You exude trust and resilience all the time, and people will learn to become endeared to you. But if you don't, because you're just pushing a product or a stock, a bond, a portfolio, an ETF, whatever you're doing, whatever you're pushing, or a life insurance contract, if you're pushing product, then you'll die on product as well. But if you're pushing a relationship, and that's the most important thing to you, and it's always been important to me in my entire career, then people love you and they want to be with you. So even though we didn't get paid for a while, and when I left Lincoln, I was in the middle of a divorce and in the middle of starting the RIA world.
Oh, wow.
It was really a painful time. Boy, talk about a growing opportunity in your brain. It was. Would I do things differently? Of course. Don't let anybody tell you that you never do things differently. That's a false statement, no matter what. Because nobody would do everything the same. You're supposed to learn and grow. But it was painful. I took on a partner at that time who I've since bought out. And that was a learning lesson all by itself, having a partner. I thought I'd have maybe 5 or 10 partners. So it kind of looked like a Price Waterhouse. But then having one, I didn't really like the way this felt. That was another learning lesson along the way.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So you experimented with partners and realized you were a one-man show.
No, I thought we would have silos. So I would be in charge of 401ks. He would be in charge of this. Mary would be in charge of this. John would be in charge of that. And we'd run it like an accounting firm, like audit and tax and things like that.
Hmm.
But it turned out that everybody had such different talent and different drives, and it's hard to find somebody that's going to match your drive, your talent,
Mm.
and your energy. It just is. It's unique to you. And having a partner, I learned that, and working with other people, I learned that, and it didn't feel good. But he was my partner for 20 years until I bought him out. It just didn't, especially at the end, it didn't feel good at all.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, that's tough. It's tough when you're this motivated and borderline psychotic about growing your business and having a successful business. It can be hard to find someone who matches that, I imagine.
It's an interesting phrase you just used, borderline psychotic. I don't think of myself as psychotic, but coming out of the East
I was
Coast,
referring to myself. I
yeah, sorry.
apologize.
But coming out of the East Coast, I want to tell you, and I have to explain this a lot in California, that I wake up every morning with growth in mind.
Hmm.
I'm not 35 or 40 anymore, but I wake up and say, how do I do better today than I did yesterday? How do I grow the company today over yesterday? And so when I talk to vendors who come in from mutual fund companies and from ETF companies and so forth, I tell them, look, we're in growth mode. If you want to help me grow. Don't just give me your fund over that fund or your portfolio views over that or your economic report over that economic report. I want to grow. That's how you can bring me value. And that's what I try to do with clients is bring them value. But for me, my value is having a better year than last year, doing better this month than last month or better this quarter. And better is a word that could mean revenue. It could mean you did better with presentations. There are a lot of ways to measure, and some of them are intangible. But better is the key word for me.
Hmm. Yeah. Awesome.
I think the Japanese use the word kanai.
Kunai.
Yeah.
Yeah. That means like perpetual improvement or something.
Yeah,
Right?
it's exactly what it means. For getting better every day, every year, every month, whatever the phrase you want to call it. I mean, it's one word, so you can add a paragraph to it if you want.
Hmm.
But it is doing better and getting better all the time.
Hmm. Yeah. Awesome. So, how did you grow when you first started? How did you grow when you had a lot of momentum? And how do you grow today?
In the early days, it was pure pain, Chris. I would grab the local Jewish news. I happen to be Jewish. I would grab the Contra Costa Times and the San Ramon Times, and I would look for people that were advertising their services, caterers, funeral homes, attorneys, even physicians in those days advertised, dentists. And I would call them up and I would say, hi, I'm Elliot Kallen. I'm new to Northern California. I'm working in the financial services business. Can I network with you and share a cup of coffee and buy you a cup of coffee? And I'd end up I'd make maybe 60 to 80 calls a day. I got most of the people you don't reach, of course. And then I got the most no's in the office. Lincoln used to measure how many no's you got. I don't know why they did that. And I always got the award for the most no's every week, which is a silly award. I guess they just want to make sure you were trying.
Mm-hmm.
But in those no's, I would get one or two or three. Sure, I'd grab a cup of coffee with you, and I'd get together with them. And I became a fanatic at Starbucks, drinking like 6 to 10 cups of decaf a day, because that's where we meet at Pete's or Starbucks out here. And I would talk to them about their business and get to know them. And some of them would say, look, this is what I'm doing. Can you help me? This is my situation with my children. I don't really have life insurance. Can you help me? And that's how I got started. It's the hardest way I can imagine. I don't wish that on anybody. Cold calling, the old world where they kind of give you yellow pages, but I did it with newspaper. It's a hard way to go. And like I said at the beginning, I could have gone to McDonald's and gotten a raise. Just too hard. Today now, fast forwarding, because I have a really good base of business, I'm always running corporate events, client events, reminding clients to bring guests to our events, educational events, fun events. We are doing so much marketing. I have an entire marketing department now that works for me that years ago I couldn't have even thought of that. Now they're just doing events for me. And so it's pretty exciting what we're doing, and rarely do we get dust on our feet.
Yes, because they're always moving.
Right. And I love that. I like having multiple balls in the air, multiple things happening, and talking about what works best.
Mm-hmm. So what types of marketing do you and your team engage in, and what do you feel is the most effective these days?
So we are all over social media. I know, Chris, that's what you do for a living, and I give you a lot of credit for that. Most people don't understand that. But we are not on TikTok. We have not figured out that formula yet. But we are all over Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. and all over TV advertising. So we are getting our face out there and using our brand, Prosperity Financial Group, as a brand to itself, trying to create a Band-Aid type of brand with it. So we're doing that. And then on top of that, we are doing 4 or 5 client dinner and client appreciation events and client education events per year, inviting clients to bring people in, whether doing it at a country club or doing them at a steakhouse. We're doing those all the time. And then we've got a bi-weekly mailing that goes out to clients on different subjects, different for 401k trustees than it is for individuals, but always out there. So we are doing everything in our power to keep our faces and our name in front of people. And, I kid around, Chris. I look in the mirror and I say, I wish I could put somebody else's face over mine because, if I look like me, I'm not sure I would do business with me. And I'm a little hard on myself.
That's not true.
Yeah, I'm a little hard on myself. But in reality, it's a face that, and everybody has it, it's a face that in its own right creates trust and warmth and attraction. And that's what we're trying to put out there all the time. And then because I have 5 advisors that work for me here, I'm trying to create the brand Prosperity Financial Group so people in here can enjoy the crumbs or the fruit of the labor that we're doing. And it's not just about me.
Well, I'll tell you this, doing my due diligence before interview, checked out your LinkedIn, your picture, you come off very pleasant and kind. I was like, all right, no, I have a good vibes about this interview. So I think you are sorely mistaken about your feelings about your appearance.
Thank you. No, nobody's more self-effacing on me than me, so I get it.
That's great, and I would highly recommend TikTok. Our clients on TikTok, some have gone viral on there, hundreds of thousands, millions of views, comments, likes, shares.
Are
for
these
free.
Short reels you're talking about?
What's that?
You're talking about like short reels on TikTok?
Yeah, just any video you post to TikTok. We pull content from our podcast and post that to TikTok. And it's just, a cool thing that our guest or the host of one of our podcasts shared. Just, 30, 60, 90 seconds, post that up to TikTok with some subtitles. And it, some of them get 100 views, some get 1,000, some get 10,000. A couple have gotten, 1 million plus.
Well, thank you for the advice. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think we just need to step up our game here.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing a lot. So, kudos to you. Most financial advisors we have on here, I always try to twist their arm. I'm like, tell me that digital marketing is working for you. So far, you're, out of 10, you're the second that is admitted that digital marketing. No,
I love digital marketing. Now, I can also tell you, for people that are looking to get clients directly from digital marketing, I'm not sure we've gotten clients directly from digital marketing. It's been much more indirect, where they've seen me in different places. I walk into the gym. I'm one of those 5 a.m. guys. I try to be.
Oh, wow.
Do a little bit too much all the time. So I get up at 4:45 and hit the gym.
Oh, my goodness.
And I get home at 6 or 5:30. That's my dad talking in my ear that nothing makes up for a great work ethic. I've never forgotten that. But there are people that come up to me at the gym and say, I just saw your commercial on TV. I just did this. I listened to you. And so there are people that never gave us business that now say, hey, can we talk and grab some coffee?
Wow.
And that's pretty cool. It doesn't hurt that I just got a book published, and it's a #1 Amazon bestseller. All about leadership. It's still a financial book, but it's about leadership and entrepreneurship. So it's it's not about finance. And it opens up doors for people to say, so tell me about what leadership means to you, or the pillars of leadership, and understanding that most people don't have a straight line to success. I'm one of those people that's never had a straight line. I'm amazed on how crooked my own line is in life, forward, backwards, inside out, upside down, all that stuff. But perseverance is one of my key words. And, you can't stop swinging the bat, because some of those times you're going to connect, you're going to base hit, and occasionally you're going to reach the wall and you're going to get over the wall. If you keep swinging, you're really only out when you stop swinging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, didn't I think Michael Jordan missed the most shots? Or there's some stat like that, and it's like, yeah, he missed the most because he took the most.
Well, I don't know about Michael Jordan. I know Mickey Mantle for years led the league in strikeouts.
Yeah, yeah. Or Barry Sanders has the most runs for losses in like the history of the NFL.
Well, he played for Detroit. I get that.
But I mean that, he also has like the most like huge runs of anyone.
This is just talent that people know, intestinal fortitude and resilience and credibility and trust. If you're going to be a financial advisor in this business and you're going to succeed to whatever level that you judge success, you got to have those traits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amen. Well, that's awesome. It sounds like you all are doing a bunch of great different marketing strategies, and really, I think that's an important thing you noted there. That a lot of the marketing doesn't directly deliver the clients. It's kind of like you're building awareness, and then when the client's like, "I need that," and then they're like, "I'm gonna go to Elliot."
Yep.
Or I'm gonna see him at these various events or at the gym every morning at 5 a.m.
It's just for your clients who are learning social media that you do such a superb job with. It's get your face and your voice and your message out. Because as I tell everybody in my office, I don't want to be the best kept secret in San Ramon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amen. So as you were growing your business, did you focus on a certain type of client, like a niche, business owner? Like how did that kind of evolve?
You know what's funny about that, Chris? When I was at Lincoln and they were teaching us the business,
Mm-hmm.
they said it's so important that you go an inch wide and a mile deep. So you handle all the cardiologists, all the dentists, all this. And that's because they had niches out here in Chevron and Pac Bell, which is now AT&T. They had those niches where some people got incredibly rich, insanely wealthy in our business because they were there at the right time, at the right place with those two companies.
Mm-hmm.
I came to California too late for both of those. So those were not available to me. So my niche ended up being an inch deep and a mile wide, which is the harder way of doing it. But the one thing they have in common is I would say 60% of our clients either owned companies or currently own companies. So they're very entrepreneurial. And because I've owned, this is the third company I've owned, I can talk the talk of business owners and they can share their world with me and their stresses and their personal challenges that they're going through because they know I've been there and I will give them a non-judgmental, good quality answer unless they want a judgmental answer. And I ask them that too. Do you want me to tell you where you're going awry or do you just want me to listen into your life? And so it's a comfortable part of it that people say, I love what you're doing. By the way, can I I need a new CPA. I need a new attorney. I need somebody who does a line of credit. How fast can you open up that door for me? And because I have those contacts, I take advantage of that too.
Mm-hmm. Amen. It sounds like you created a business that would serve folks like yourself, like, entrepreneurs, folks you can relate to and have the most in common with.
Well, clients tend to be a mirror image of you in our business.
Yeah.
That's good and bad because as you're aging, so are your clients, and it's harder to get younger clients. And when you're young, it's many times difficult to get an older client because they look at you as the kid that, what do you know? You're like my kid. I changed my kid's diapers last week, and now that's who you are.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's a double-edged sword no matter how old you are.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So the title of this show is the Ultra High Net Worth Clients Podcast. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question. How did you find your largest client to the extent that you're comfortable sharing?
So I would say my three largest clients, which have net worths of 8 figures, all three of them came from referrals.
Mm-hmm.
The first one came from a friend of mine who was working for a company. And he said to me, can you do a $500,000 life insurance policy on my boss? And I did a 10-year term policy on him. I think it was about $85 a month. It was nothing. And we did it. And then a few years went by and he said, hey, are you free? My boss would like to meet with you again. And I didn't even think twice about it. He said, I'm selling my company and I should be getting about $25 million on a sale. And your name keeps popping up when I talk to people. And so that was the first one. And then the second one came from a woman that I knew that was now related to a very good friend of ours. And she kept coming to events and asking me questions. And it turned out she was using somebody not too far from here. And she had basically negative returns year in and year out. And she said to me, something's got to be worse. It's got to be wrong here. And I showed her what we do. It took her over a year to make a decision.
Hmm.
And then she brought me one of her very close friends who said, wow, and came right with me. So the two of the three were pretty fast, and one of them was incredibly slow. But those are those are 8-figure net worth people. Those are the kind of people you want to build your business with. And as loyal as I am to them, I believe they're probably equally loyal back to me.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So it sounds like ultra high net worth clients kind of beget additional ultra high net worth clients. Once you get that first one, it may turn into multiple.
It could. And there's some truth to that. Some of these people are afraid of giving out referrals no matter what. It's just not in their personality.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask them all day. You could use the games the industry use. Who are your 3 best friends? And I'll do a dinner for them. You could use lots of things for them. But if they're uncomfortable with giving out a referral, you're not going to change that. That's the personality. But if they trust you again, you can talk to them about trust. And that, I actually use that phrase to them. I'll say, Mary, don't let me be with people your best kept secret. I love what I do. I think you love what I do for you. Work with me. And people say, I think that's fair. Doesn't mean I'm going to get a referral, but it means there's a better probability of that.
Mm-hmm. That's a brilliant way to ask for a referral as well. Kudos there, sir.
Yeah, the street thing, remember they used to give you a cross street directory. I don't even remember the name of those things. And they'd say, well, who are your neighbors? I see your neighbor on your left looking at this book is Smith. Your neighbor 2 houses over is Jones. Do you happen to know them? Can you introduce me to them? That's what they taught us at Lincoln. And that never worked for me, ever. I never was the guy that, knocked on people's doors without them knowing me.
Yeah.
I know Edward Jones makes a living with that, but I get that.
Yeah. Awesome. So what are some tips or strategies or advice for working with wealthier clients, ultra high net worth clients?
I would say the first thing you need to do is put your vision down on paper, what your vision is as an advisor. Because ultra high net worth or high net worth clients, they're not for everybody. I mean, most of the people in my office, they don't have them as clients. I do. I'm really comfortable in a room of billionaires. But that ego can be so large that you just want to hit some of them in the nose. They're just their head is exploding with self-credulation there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to do business with those people. They're too good for you anyway. But I would say if you're somebody that can work on your own level of trust, look at your vision, execute your vision, and then talk about your perfect client. And if you talk about your perfect client without alienating your current client, you're going to get introduced to better and better clients.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I understand you have a book that is out that you are promoting.
It is. It's over my left. That's my left side. It's probably opposite for you. It's called Driven by Elliot, Kallen, and Adam Torres. It just came out July 4th. It's on the Amazon bestseller list. It's about leadership and entrepreneurship. I'm going around the country doing book signings. I'll be in LA tomorrow. I think East Coast in a few months. It's kind of fun. Talk about your head being swollen with people coming up to you and asking for you to sign the book. Jeez. My wife is like telling me to come through the garage now because I can't fit through the front door. But it's a lot of fun. It took me a year to write it, coming in almost every single Saturday or Sunday for 2 or 3 hours and writing it. It's 28,000 words and change. And I had to rewrite it 6 or 7 times after I saw the editor redo what I did because I didn't like what it was saying. I wanted it to say, I wanted to talk about the fallibility, the weaknesses, the human kind stuff of what it means to be an entrepreneur and a leader. Because some people think of entrepreneurship as Mark Zuckerberg starting something in college, and now he's a billionaire, and I can do the same thing. And that does happen a fraction of a percent out there. But most of us get bloody noses on a regular basis, or have a 2022 where every one of your clients loses money, or 2008 where you're having to borrow money just to stay in business, or all this stuff. We have those things. And if you understand that, then you can deal with that and react to it and move forward without having to you know, just wipe off the blood, put your tail between your legs and go home.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, this has been great. I could definitely just ask you questions for the rest of the day here, but I will respect your time. So I like to wrap the interview up with a rather open-ended question. You can take this in any direction that you prefer. And that question is, what are you working towards?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm not working towards, and that's retirement.
Amen.
I get offers, what seems to be every week, probably once a month, from these billion-dollar firms that want to consolidate us because we're now a mid-tier player. When we're approaching, 800, $900 million with the two companies, we're a mid-tier player. And these multi-billion-dollar firms that are now 5, 10, 20, 30 billion even, come to me and say, hey, we want to buy you out. At the end of the day, I feel like those companies are buying me out with my own money. They don't really appreciate the brand that we built at all. They just want my clients. It's an asset sale. Keep your darn name, and we don't want it. And I'm like, well, what am I doing here then? And so I think at some point down the road, I'd like maybe in 5 years, I'd like people to come in and package this, or 3 years, whatever, and say, I love what you've done. I would like to work with you to continue what you're doing. And I'd like for you to transition the reins of this company and let me continue it as is, and improve upon it as I see it, and let you step aside and travel. You love to travel. You love to cook. You like to go around the world. You go around the world every year. You go to these places. It's cooking, it's traveling, it's buying great wine. I got 1,000-bottle wine tasting room. It's doing those leisures of life thing that I love so much. It's being a grandpa. It's being a husband and a dad. It's things I like. And if somebody were to come to me and said, and with those words, I'd be all ears. But I haven't heard that. In the meantime, I'm just going to continue to grow the business and grow the business and grow the business. And that's what I'm going to do. And in between there, I'm going to travel around the world or the U.S., see my new grandchildren, spend time with them, try to be a great husband, to be a better cook, to drink better wine and collect better Cabernets and so forth. I'm just going to keep doing the passions of life.
Wow. That might be my favorite answer that I've heard to that question. So
well, good. It's
good work.
passion. If you're not living with passion, what are you doing?
Yeah. Amen. And where can our audience find out more about you?
Great places. It's my email is Elliot at prosperity, ELLIOT at prosperityfinancialgroup.com. The website is prosperityfinancialgroup.com. Feel welcome to reach out to me for any questions or comments you might have on what we're doing. I share it. I think it's great. There's not enough mentoring that goes on in the industry. And if you're that guy that says, hey, I got a group, I'd love to talk to you, I'd love to take that call.
Awesome. Well, Elliot, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. Super enjoyed it. Again, I have like 30 questions that I would love to ask you, but I want to respect your time.
Anytime. I love this. I think you're serving a great niche. I think the financial services industry is kind of behind the times of so many industries right now. It is a graying industry. It's hard for us gray hair. I'm not quite there, but the beard is kind of gray. It's hard for us to get our arms around the new technologies. It's just very hard. It's foreign. I'm going all the time to people in my office saying, how do you do this? How do you do this? Because I know it's important, and I'm trying to get better at it every day because I need to use that. So you're bringing a great service to people in our industry.